What's up guys, it's me your boy SteveRandom here, and in today's video I'm doing 10 fragrances that have never let me down for compliments. Now when I say never, obviously it's not 100% of the time because that would just be ridiculous, but it's most of the time. So these fragrances most of the time get me compliments if I'm around, quite a few people, or at a party, or hanging out with some people, or just when there's a chance for a compliment. Most likely one of these fragrances will get you a compliment for sure. Let's get into the first one to start things off. This is not in any order, but Parfums de Leighton wants to start off. It's a wonderful fragrance. It's sweet from the vanilla. It's got a nice apple note and smells mass appealing. Something ladies love, this one right here. But the thing about it is it can become a little bit too strong. So I would watch out on how much you spray, unless you just want to choke everybody out. But if you spray the right amount of this one, it smells really sexy in the air, really appealing in the air, and it just makes you stand out. It is one of those that when you smell it, you just get kind of this attraction to it where you're like, wow, that's a really nice smell. Yeah, it just works very well in the air and is one that has gotten me quite a few compliments. Layton to start things off. Next up is Givenchy Play Intense. Now, I don't know why Givenchy discontinued this one, because this one is one of those fragrances that is just so sexy that when you smell this fragrance, I mean a guy or a girl, when you smell this fragrance, it just, when I smell it, I'm gonna just say myself, when I smell this fragrance, I automatically think about just nice sexiness. I don't know, it's like just, those fragrances that automatically come to, when you smell them, you automatically think about, wow, this is super sexy. When you smell them, Givenchy Play Intense is one of those fragrances. When you smell it, you automatically think date, romantic, sensual pleasure. It's one of those fragrances that's just in that kind of realm, and it's a really nice fragrance in terms of getting compliments. The only thing is that it doesn't last that long, and apart from this one, the rest of the list are all long-lasting fragrances, which really help in terms of getting compliments when they're long-lasting, because they last for a while, so obviously more chance of someone smelling it, and they also will probably be a little bit stronger if they last a long time. But Play Intense, if you spray the right amount of this, I usually spray about quite a bit of sprays, because sometimes this fragrance just dies off really quickly. So I spray about 6 to 7 sprays, and this is not straight away before I go out. This is about a 30-minute mark, 30 minutes before I usually go out, or if I do anything, I'm trying to wear this fragrance, I'll probably give it a little bit of time. I won't spray 7 sprays and go into a club, but it is one of those that once it settles down and starts lingering off the skin, it starts bringing females a little bit closer, or males, if whatever. So that's Givenchy Play Intense. Now number 3 is another Parfums de Marly, and this one has been climbing up the list recently. I got it, I would say about a few weeks ago, or it could be a month, and you must be wondering, how the heck is it climbing up so fast if you only got it for a month? You've already put it in this list, like what's going on? What is this fragrance? Well, I recently did a review about this one. It is Parfums de Marly Percival. If you guys want to watch that review, I really went in depth on saying what it smells like, what it reminds me of, how is it in terms of performance, and that. If you guys want to watch that review, I highly recommend it if you're interested in this fragrance. But I'm just going to say for this video, this one is aftershave gel, fresh, Old Spice, that just that well-known kind of scent that's in a lot of shaving gels, in a lot of those clean, like you want to smell like a man kind of advertisements or whatever they are. It is one of those fragrances in that kind of category, which makes it a little bit less special, but you know, it works. It just pretty much smells like deodorant, or, you know, not deodorant like Axe, but kind of that general deodorant fresh smell on steroids though, because it does project pretty well. It does last quite a bit, you know. It is about an 8 to 10 hour kind of fragrance. Parfums de Marly Percival is the third fragrance. The fourth one, I told myself I'm gonna stop mentioning this one, and there's another fragrance in this list where I told myself I'm gonna stop mentioning it, but I try to be as, you know, honest as I can in every video, and just in general, you know, I like being honest. I'm a very honest guy. You know, if it does work and if it's working, why not mention it, you know? Even though you guys know about this fragrance a lot of you guys know about this fragrance. It's really popular. Do I need to say anything? You guys know the deal. My number 5 is 1 Million Lucky. This one is like a sexy chocolate smell. Not extremely like dark chocolate kind of smelling. It's more of a hazelnut chocolate. It kind of smells like Nutella, but in fragrance form. It's really good in terms of like sexiness. It makes you really, when you smell this, it makes you think of Nutella, eating a good old, you know, Nutella sandwich, or having some nice dessert. In terms of that, I don't know why it works, but I have received, you know, a lot of compliments from this one. But I think it might just be the way it comes off the skin. It is very sexy, it is very warm, it is like kind of chocolatey. I think it just gives the vibe of like relaxation and chilling, and, you know, I think that's what makes it more of a kind of this compliment getting fragrance. 1 Million Lucky by Paco Rabanne. Next up is the all well-known Bleu de Chanel, but I've picked the Parfum version because the Parfum version to me smells the most, I guess, mass appealing, but also has a little bit of a unique scent to it, which, like, when you smell in the air, it kind of does smell different than the other Bleu de Chanels. It really has this, I think the lemon zest is what makes it have this slight bit of kind of dry citrus smell, but it overall works well because, you know, it's a Bleu de Chanel, it's mass appealing, it's all that, but it has this nice citrus that's kind of a little bit on the drier side. It's not as, you know, as to the face as, you know, other citrus fragrances are. It's more of the, you know, also it's more of a well-rounded citrus that's, you know, coming from the lemon zest. But it's a really good fragrance in terms of, you know, trying to get compliments. I've only had this for, I would say, about 2 months now, and it has also climbed up the list just like Percival has. Bleu de Chanel Parfum is the 2, 4, 6, it's the 6th fragrance. And this is the other fragrance that I told myself I'm going to try to stop mentioning, but it never fails. And even now in winter, you know, where I live in South Carolina, we've had a few days, or most, you know, down in the south, it doesn't really get that cold. There is here and there a couple of days that will get really cold, and then sometimes, you know, it will get cold like 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But it has been in the 70s for like the last week, but also like 3 weeks ago it was in the 70s, and so it hasn't really been a full-on winter. So I've been pulling out this fragrance. It doesn't fail, like even in December, even in January, when it's like warm enough over here, and I pull it out and I start using it, it still kind of gets this attention, it still kind of gets this compliment. Kind of just, it's a good fragrance. I just wish, you know, every time I mention it, it wasn't hated on. It's a good fragrance for what it is. It just smells a little too sweet for some people, and I do kind of agree on that side. It does sometimes become boring and overly sweet, but if it does the job and gets compliments, I'm gonna use it. This one is Invictus by Paco Rabanne. You know, no need to say much about this. You guys know the deal. Really well-known fragrance for compliments and all that. Invictus by Paco Rabanne was my number 7. My number 8 is a fragrance that I've recently been wearing more and more. It hasn't been disappointing. This fragrance is Azzaro Wanted by Night. So Azzaro Wanted by Night is a kind of a weird, not a weird, but it's like out of the ordinary how this fragrance is getting compliments, because it doesn't really, I mean, it has a mass appealing factor, it has this like sexy kind of smell, but it's like more on the kind of the more strong winter fragrance kind of list, I would say, because it has the cinnamon mixed with the you know, the sweet Azzaro Wanted DNA. It just makes it more of a winter scent, and it's kind of, you know, surprising to me how this fragrance gets compliments just as much as, you know, fragrances like Bleu de Chanel Parfum for me do. Bleu de Chanel Parfum gets compliments, but this fragrance is just as equivalent as that, and it's kind of weird. You know, I think you guys get what I mean, but basically I didn't expect this one to get many compliments. I would just wear this to smell nice and to you know, just have a fragrance to put on, but it just surprised me with how it got kind of attention, how it got this attention, and how it got some compliments too. Azzaro Wanted by Night is the number 8. Moving on to the number 9 is a fragrance in the same kind of category as Invictus, in the same kind of category as Dior Sauvage and those clubbing type fragrances. This one is Jean Gaultier Ultramar. Speaking of a fragrance that was most used for me in 2019, I would have to say it's this fragrance right here. I used it quite heavily last year. There has been some memories, wink. There has been some really good compliments. There has been some good experiences with this one. Yeah, and to say the least, it really deserves a high spot in my, I would say, best fragrances or best compliment getting fragrances. It definitely deserves a spot up there. I just don't like mentioning it so many times, but what can you do, man? Ultramar by Jean Gaultier is our number 9 spot, and my number 10 to end the list off is your good old one and only Versace Dillon Blue. Now, out of the Versace's, you know, Eros Flame, Eau Fraiche, I'm trying to think of others like Dreamer, Blue Jeans. Out of all those, I would say Dillon Blue is the one for you. It's the one that will, if you're trying to get compliments, if you're trying to not use Dior Sauvage, but use a similar fragrance to it, that kind of has this more spicy, more peppery vibe, this is the fragrance for that. Dillon Blue is one of those fragrances that I think are on the side that's mass appealing, but also has a little bit of a creative factor. So it's not as generic as, you know, some of those fresh, you know, mass appealing fragrances are, but it is still on that side, so it helps it to get compliments because it's still mass appealing. It's still really sexy when it comes off the skin, when it is in the air, when it's just a really nice fragrance in terms of getting compliments. But it also has a nice bit of you know, creativity to it. It has a nice bit of spiciness. It has a nice bit of pepper. I'm just saying the same stuff because honestly it kind of smells like a Dior Sauvage mixed with some spiciness and also a little bit more of a heavy pepper vibe. Yeah, it's just, it smells great. It has definitely not disappointed in terms of compliments, and just in general as a fragrance, it is really good. The only problem with it, for me at least, is that I tend to spray quite a bit of that because it doesn't really last long on my skin. That's the only down factor of Dillon Blue. But that wraps up the list, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this is one of those videos that you're like, oh my god, here we go again, compliments. But you guys do really like compliment lists. I know there is some out there that are like, compliments, you know, you can't get, or compliments don't define fragrances, and you know, there's fragrances don't get compliments, it's your attitude, your personality. Yeah, that's obvious, you know. I'm not saying these fragrances, you know, will 100% get you compliments. There's nothing really out there like that, you know. But it is if you have everything right, you know, if you've got a good personality, if you've got, you know, some attractiveness, good style of clothing, good confidence, you know, when approaching a female or a male, what depends what you're into, then you could say, let me wear one of these fragrances and improve or pretty much put the icing on the cake. That's how I would say these will get you compliments. Because if you're, I don't know, if you're not a nice person, if you're rude, if you're, I don't know, just annoying and just a pain in the ass, and then you put one of these fragrances on and you're wondering why you're not getting compliments, it's not because of the fragrance, but it's because I think you need to do a change. So I know this is kind of getting personal, but I just wanted to put out there that I'm no way saying that these fragrances will get you compliments, but for me, they have been getting compliments, and I think they will do for you as well if you want to try it out. I wanted to also add something real quick. I don't know who's watching this at this very end of the video, but if you have stuck around for the whole video, I appreciate it. Really does support me out because, you know, more watch time helps the channel grow. But basically, I mentioned Creed Aventus, right? If you guys are, I wouldn't say, if you guys are fans or you guys have watched the videos, you know Creed Aventus wasn't one of my, you know, fragrances I would say is a compliment getter or a heavy compliment getter. It was more of the disappointing side. But I've realized that mixing this fragrance with a Molecule 101 from Eccentric Molecules, which I'll show you right now. This fragrance right here, I've done a, you know, fragrance review on this, or I've not really done a fragrance review, but I've just mentioned it before. Mixing these two, for some reason, makes Creed Aventus get more compliments. That's all I had to say. I figured out a way to slightly make Creed Aventus more of a compliment getting fragrance, because before I used this with it, it wasn't really getting me compliments. It wasn't really standing out. It wasn't projecting at all. It wasn't working well on my skin. And it wasn't really getting any attention apart from I like it and some other people like it, but it wasn't really that compliment getter fragrance that I wished it was. That's just a little quick thing I had to say about, you know, why I put Creed Aventus in here, even though in the past I've said Creed Aventus is not the greatest for compliments. But that's the trick. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and sorry for the long video, but it has to be done, and appreciate it if you have watched all the way through. Peace.